It's looking kind of nice underneath there. Checking in next morning. Our second layer of epoxy I laid into the keelson there and up underneath the chine. It seems to have gone off in spite of some cold temps. In the meantime, back to the scarfing one more time. If you remember, I'd accidentally test scarfed one of the sides and I've tried my best to preserve it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that guy up, the one that's already scarfed, and then we can scarf join the remaining two side pieces. Alright, last scarf cut, we hope. This is the forward end of the side. And what I'm looking for is to be able to touch that and not see any movement. And that, like we saw before, I needed a little shim and the pushing that down so it just kind of stays very, very tight. Make a precision cut right down the center from about here to here. Back here I don't mind just shaping right to the bevel and showing that side edge, because we're gonna, what I'm hoping to do is do an inlay right down the center of the chine, but can't afford to do that, it gets too flat. So what I'm gonna do is plane to the edge of the chine board, almost there, and that's just about it. Then use the router with fence on it to take half of that distance, which is 3/8 of an inch, almost down through that plywood. So that gives me a nice reference line, at least as far in as this fence can go. The rabbet plane. Clean this up. And that leaves these last two bits where the router fence was too big to get into it. So what seems to work, trace that 3/8. And a little Dremel saw. And then we have to transition gradually from here to there. It seems to work. Show you that. It's pretty easy then. Probably do the whole thing that way, but then we'd end up with a precision cut on the top of the side, and I'm kind of lazy. I like to, oh, hey you.
How's it going?
Just talking to the camera like a fool.
Oh, that's
I've got these methodology worked out for this precision cut. I just got to make the transition from the one mode to the other, and the side only has to be precision cut then through that transition forward. The rest of it can just hang long and then be cleaned off on after it's. It just makes it so much easier. So.
Yeah.
But once it starts getting flat, you have this big wide edge exposed from the side. It just would not work. So
But
that's
what
why.
about the mahogany strip? That's just
So
a
the
little,
mahogany
little
will
thin
sit
guy.
right down the middle of the actual chine edge, which
Uh-huh.
means this. It'll sit on. It'll be centered on this joint.
Uh-huh.
Then it will be centered on that.
How wide of a,
I'm thinking 1/4 inch square is what I did on the little. I haven't shown that yet.
oh,
The little jig. Let's go look at it now, I guess. Because the other boats, I've just let this show the edge of the
right.
side.
Well, and we want ours to be better because we're going to be keeping it.
Well,
Right.
the other two boats I kept too, but
Uh-huh.
this is an example. And this is a piece of mahogany.
Okay.
You just get a router guide so that the cutter bit is centered exactly on that chine edge where that falls.
I see.
Let it take out 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, lay that in there and sand it over. That's the plan. Coming along. Glued these guys on last night. I mean, I made videos in painful detail that probably no one will ever watch, but you're welcome to catch up on what you missed. But that guy is a side, and he's got glued this morning that you can see the edges here of the other side, scarf joints.
Oh, wow.
Very.
Yeah.
Right, we've got our gradual transition from the easy, just lay it high and trim it off, to precision cut on both sides, cut in, and started trimming the stem transition to the keel. Ended up making the second scarf glue joint. On the way out to play some music last night. I like working in epoxy with semi-decent clothes on, but it took about 5 minutes. What I like to do is a final pass, shaping all these surfaces, making sure they're good, and taking a little bit closer look now at the shear. Lay these up and mark them and rough cut them. And then need to do the precision cut from here to here. I'm going to put some build up across that just like we did on the bottoms. Spent some time working on the transition here. I think that's clearing out the bits of epoxy in here. Can't really install this piece, of course, till the sides are on. But I think I could get about a half-hour session shaping the shear. Turned out I needed to remove a fair amount of material on this top edge or bottom. And so I think we're ready to try to fit the sides on. They're all ready to go. I'm not putting backing blocks on here, so I really need to be careful not to drop these things. So I'm going to figure out some kind of a scaffolding for holding them in place. Oops. See whether I cut it too short or not. What needs to happen is I need some retainers. Try the same thing where 8-penny nail positioning this back into place so I can rough mark it, precision cut that, and then we'd be ready to install. As far forward as we can. Not a lot to spare, but we look to have enough wood if I bring the stern right up to where it can go. Let's see. Yeah, I'm paying price for being overly conservative, I think. It's hard to get a little clamp underneath here. And what I want to do is prevent sort of committing to a closer shape in a way that you know, could have a gap toward the stern, and then by the time you actually get it up here, come up short. So what I think I'm going to do is rough cut across the bow so we can commit to where this thing's going to land. Put it up and put some nails in, location nails like I did on the bottoms. Mark for a rough cut on both sides. Take it off, cut to those marks, and then put it up for a final analysis back on the nails. And then we have to do the precision cut along this surface here, and then we're ready to put it on. See if that works. Alright, I think I've got it so there's no appreciable gaps. Good enough to rough mark, take them off, cut, and put it back up and do the precision cut. So, rough marked along the top, put that over there, cut that off, put it back up, and then do the bottom. Just trying to be conservative. That's still good. Commit by putting in locator nails, marking and cutting the bottom, and precision cut on the forward end. Put one locator nail in the middle here. Put one more locator nail here. Alright, now we can mark the shear so we can get much more accurate clamping. Well, I think we're still okay. I went along by hooking this head of the nail and then laying that out and then connecting the lines. And then it needs to do a twist until it goes to 0 there. So we'll set the block plane to an aggressive depth. Start working this down. I think it's what do we got? We have a gradual transition from where we're just letting it hang over and shave off to where we've got a full butt joint. It's not the prettiest boundary in the world, but that just confirms my desire to come back and inlay a piece of 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch mahogany down through there. One thing all right. Oh, this thing's all locked in. What I'd really like to do is make sure we're okay up through here. So we don't need this anymore. If it moves, that's a real problem. So I'm going to take this off and trim this back just a little bit so we get visibility on how this is laying out. Yep, there we are. First piece of scaffold removal, or removal of the boat from the scaffold. Just enough to peek in there and make sure we're as flush as we can get across the stem. It looks pretty good. All right, we'll leave it. Hope it cures up good and move on. Resist one little walk around. This isn't trimmed off yet. First real view of the shape of the boat. I've been trying to envision from the frame all this time, from the drawings and then from the frame. I think it looks pretty good. Nice even curve.